So you're gonna use this microphone.
Get a sense of the people, the environment, and everything that I think sometimes we read about Gaza isn't always as pleasant as it is, but also to remind us that this was an open air prison. That the fact that people could not move around, they could not leave, they could not come in, they could not fish, they could not do many things that a normal place would be able to do. So I think in light of what you see and all the, I think the joy that you saw in these photographs, there was still a lot of horrible things happening. And of course, Israel was constantly bombing Gaza. But people, you know, it's interesting how people tend to just find the best in what they have and be able to just work with it and be able to just survive, because that is what it's about, is survival. I wanted to properly introduce Mosab. Many of you, of course, know him, who he is. He's a poet, he's a scholar, and he's the founder of the Edward Said English Language Library, which I think he mentioned a couple times. And he's written 2 books, right? 2 books, and both books were actually launched here at Busboys and Poets. The first one was Things You May Find Hidden in My Ears, and the second one is Forest of Noise. And recently he won the Pulitzer for Letter to Gaza, which is a series of commentary that he's been putting on the New Yorker. Have any of you been reading of those? They're extremely moving, and you realize the power of storytelling. Because you can tell people statistics all day long, but nothing really changes. The storytelling is what matters. What do you have to get? I know you mentioned that you write because you hope it brings hope. Can you explain what that means? What does hope mean in these very dark days to you?
Thank you so much, Andy. Can you hear me in the back? Wonderful.
To reduce my volume.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you, Busboys and Poets, for having us all in this beautiful space. I mean, the hope of every writer is that when they share the story of the horror they not only are witnessing, but the horror that they themselves live through. I mean, I was born in a refugee camp in Gaza, and I've never left in Gaza in my life until I was 27 years old. There is no airport in Gaza. There is no seaport in Gaza. The only kinds of planes that I saw ever in my life before I left were the F-16s and the helicopters and the drones. I've never seen a passenger plane in the sky over Gaza. This is something that shocked some people when I told them. But really, I've never seen a passenger plane in the sky over Gaza. And I have never seen my country, Palestine, even the Gaza Strip, if you want to call it my country. Never seen Gaza from the sea or even from the sky. I know that when we travel from Boston to Texas, you see, for example, some states as you're flying, and even when the plane starts to land, you see the cities from above. You see the cars, the streets. You see some towers, some river. But I've never seen my country, really. The only place that I saw was the refugee camp. And then when we moved to Betlaya, I showed you some photos and videos. These are the only 2 places that I knew in my life. I've never seen other Palestinians in my life, except for the Gazans around whom I grew up. Never seen Palestinians from the West Bank. I've never seen Palestinians from Jaffa, from Haifa, from Akka, from Nazareth, from Bisan, from Jerusalem. I've never seen any one of them. And they themselves, probably most of them, they've never met people from Gaza. So the hope of a writer when they share stories of horrors that they witnessed and horrors that they survived, and I call myself a survivor of genocide, but this is not surviving. You don't survive while you are sitting here 5,000 miles away from the genocide unfolding. You watch your loved ones, your students, your family members, your neighbors, your neighborhood decimated. this is not surviving. Surviving is when you survive an accident, but your wife is fine, your kids are fine, your house is fine, your car could be fixed. But this is not surviving. So the hope of the writer when they share these stories is that they will never happen again. When I tell you there's a fire in a building, so everyone would come to put out the fire. So this is why I told you, I did not tell you this to write something, in the newspaper. Oh, there is fire somewhere, and people will read. Oh, okay, we had this information. There is fire. I'm not telling you this to use it as a journalistic piece, to write, the numbers and start to debate whether this is a genocide, whether this is a war crime. This is not why I'm telling you about what's happening. I'm telling you about what's happening because you need to stop it, especially when you are a partner. And especially when you are involved in the genocide that is unfolding in Gaza. So this is the hope. And I've been holding to this hope. I don't know for how long. I've been just like many other Palestinians and writers, some of whom were killed, some of whom were abducted, some of whom lost most of their family members. So how long should I hope for this? When every medium imaginable has been used by the Palestinian people to tell everyone that this is happening, and it cannot happen. It cannot happen, and it should never continue to happen. So sometimes, you hope, but sometimes you realize that it's not working. Not because there is no use in telling the stories, because this is part of what we are, who we are as human beings. We tell stories, we sympathize with others, we empathize with them. But this is not the most important thing for me. The most immediate thing that needs to happen is for the atrocities to stop. This is the first step. This is the first hope for the atrocities to stop. And the second hope, we want to make sure that this never happens again. Never again. And the third hope is that those who committed these atrocities should be punished. This is not enough to stop it. No, you should punish those who committed these war crimes. These are the true hopes that I want to see in my life. And every one of you should work towards that.
You said that you've never seen Wali Gaza from a different perspective other than being inside it. Now that you left Gaza, do you see it any differently?
Yes. I see Gaza as a demolition site. This is how Trump described it. And he continued funding this campaign of turning Gaza into a demolition site. This is, I keep this, maybe this is the word that I'm using most these days. Unbelievable, unbelievable. I can't make sense. What is happening? This guy comes up and say, oh, this demolition site, it's horrible. We have to help these people, They have to be in a safer place. And he continues to send more bombs to make this suffering continue. Unbelievable.
We were just talking about that earlier. I said, you're a poet. Can you use a different word than unbelievable? But he said, I've run out of words. I can't explain it any other way.
Yeah, really. It doesn't make sense that this continues to happen. Not only is Israel being provided with the weapons that enables it to carry offensive attacks on people, especially civilians in Gaza, but it's also being provided with defensive capacities, to protect itself. So Palestinian people are the ones who should be protected, not Israel. Palestinian people have been living under occupation for 77 years, and they don't have an army. And I was shocked a few days ago when I just double-checked this information, because I don't want to share information without being certain. I checked, part of the Oslo Accord says that the Palestinian people cannot have an army. We are not allowed to, it's not that we are under occupation, that we cannot have, no, this is one condition from the Oslo Accord, that the Palestinian people cannot have an army. How is it acceptable that a people who are living under occupation cannot have an army, while the country that is occupying them, that is funded and supported by every major power in the world, can have an army? And this army, keeps being supported and funded and updated, and AI and all this technology. While the people who deserve the protection of every single human being in the world, the Palestinian people, they are not only left to die, but they are dehumanized. They are being demonized. They are being turned into numbers, into statistics. I talked about this in the event early in the morning. Even our deaths, when on Sunday Israel killed about 90 people seeking food. I hate to say the word aid because we are not beggars. We don't need aid. We want food and we want to produce this food. We want to farm our land. We want to eat from what our hands work, not from what others send us. So when Israel killed 90 people, and on Sunday, one of whom was a second cousin of mine, Ali Abu Toha, father of five children. The youngest was 1 year and a half. The oldest was 11. What the New York Times bureau chief in Jerusalem wrote about that is that the killing something in Gaza on Sunday highlights Israel's failure in its plan for post-war Gaza. Okay. So the death of 90 people is not breaking news. It's not something. It's not a war crime. It's not terrorism. But it's something that highlighted for some people, like the bureau chief of the New York Times in Jerusalem, that highlighted Israel's failure. So it's not important in itself, but it indicated something for this guy or the magazine, the newspaper in general. So even our deaths, it's not important in itself. You read the article. I did not read, but if you read it without me reading it, you will not see the names of the people, how many people each one of them was provided for. You will never read that. Because it's not important that you died. It's not important what your death means or meant. But it's important that, oh, your killing means that Israel has to improve its plan, to control Gaza after the genocide. I mean, the vulgar thing is that they are thinking about post-war Gaza. They are destroying, and then they have the morality to think about post-war. Who are you to decide what is post-war Gaza or not? Fuck off.
You say that you showed me pictures of your home where you lived, your house, and your house has been destroyed a few times over. Not only once where it's turned into big chunks of rubble, but actually almost into dust. And there was one photo there that really touched me very much where you had a tree that had these beautiful red flowers, and the flowers were weeping.
That was before the house was bombed. So we left our house for the last time on October 12th. We moved to live with my mother's relatives in the Jabalia refugee camp on October 12th. And then I took the Jabalia refugee camp is just maybe, I used my bike to travel between the Jabalia camp. Travel, the word travel it's unimaginable in Gaza. Because travel here, 7 minutes by bike, really. So I used to travel between the refugee camp and our house in Beit Lahia before it was bombed on my bike. So one time I returned, so our house was bombed on October 28th, so 2 weeks after we left it. So one time I returned before it was bombed, and there was a plant with pink flowers that are really soft, and they were growing just next to our door. So one time I went back to our house and I saw some pink liquid on our doorstep. And it was from the flowers. I have the video, I showed it to you. The flowers were crying. They were crying or they were scared from the bombing. I couldn't believe that. So I took a video of that. And that was the last video I had of that flower.
You lost your house, but you say there's a difference between a house and a home. And obviously, is home still Gaza to you?
So, this is now complicated. See, when they say, oh, Israel-Palestine is complicated. Well, my feeling about something could be complicated, but the idea of occupying and committing genocide is not complicated. But this is here because I was born in Gaza, so I never knew any other place other than Gaza. So I was born in the refugee camp in 1992. And we moved.
So was your father?
Yes, my father was born in the same refugee camp, a shelter refugee camp, beach camp in Arabic, in English. That's the same refugee camp where my grandparents were expelled, had to move to after they were expelled from Jaffa in 1948. And that's where they died, and close to where they were buried. And now we don't know where their graves are because Israel bombed the cemeteries. So Gaza is my home because it is the only place that I knew as a child, as a grown-up, and I even had my first 2 children because I have 3. The third was born in Boston. So my first two children were born in Beit Lahia in Gaza. So this is the only place that I knew for the first 27 years of my life. I'm 32, so 27 years of my life, which means most of my life. So that's the only place I knew. So for example, here in America, someone could be born in DC, and then when they are 5, the family moves to Arizona because his father or his mother has a job there. They move to live there for 10 years, and then, oh, there is another job in California, let's go to California. And so for you here, I think most Americans, they move a lot. But for us in Gaza, we never moved. So I was born in the refugee camp in 1992. We moved out of the camp in 2000. And that's where I lived, in Beit Lahia, from 2000 until I had to leave. So this is the only place that I knew. And that's why when they talk about Palestine and, transferring these Palestinians and other Palestinians should have, no, we don't know other countries other than Palestine. And we don't know any other countries other than Palestine. And we don't want to know any country other than Palestine. For real. The others, the Zionists who immigrated to Palestine, because there were some Jewish people who were living in Palestine before the occupation. The other Zionists who moved to live in Palestine after, even a little bit before 1948, they came from other countries. We did not come from other countries. So we came from the land of Palestine. That's where we are staying. But others who immigrated to Palestine to live in the houses of other people, to live to plant the land, the farm of my grandfather in Jaffa, it should be easier for them to leave Palestine, not us.
Have any other members of your family been able to leave?
So I helped my older brother, Muhammad, and his wife Fatima leave Gaza through Egypt just 1 month before Israel not only bombed the Rafah border crossing in May, but destroyed Rafah, the whole city. So I helped him leave Gaza. He was very, very desperate, really. My brother, I wish I could show you some photos of him. He's a bodybuilder and a weightlifter. You know what these people need. You know, they need to eat. They have a body. I mean, just imagine you're a bodybuilder and then you don't have food. And look at your body, withering like. So he was very depressed. And I was so concerned that he would hurt himself, because when I talked to him, he's very desperate. So I had to help him. I was in Egypt at the time. I left Gaza in December 2023. So I helped him leave Gaza in April 2024. And that's where he's staying. A few days before that, my mother was evacuated along with an ill sister of mine. They are in Qatar right now. They are hosted by the Qataris. They are being treated. They live in an apartment. They are provided with everything they need. And this is the case of some other people who were cancer patients. So they evacuated some cancer patients and their families. Some people with amputations. They evacuated them with some family members. So yeah, but the rest of the family is still in Gaza.
Do you have a lot of family still in Gaza? Are you able to get in touch with them at all?
I mean, at first, maybe at the beginning of 2024, it was nearly impossible. You know what? Even when I was in Gaza in October and November 2023, it was impossible for me to call my father, who was maybe 2 blocks away from me. Because Israel not only, this is part of the genocide, very important. Israel not only blocked, the entry of food, of medicine, of fuel, of medical equipment, but they also bombed the infrastructure. They bombed the internet company and the mobile phone company. We had 2, Mobile Jawal and Wataniya or Orido. So they bombed these places, and these people had to, to fix. And Israel, even before October 7th, they have been preventing any equipment that could improve the connection in Gaza. Do you know that in Gaza we are on 2G? I swear to God, until today, 2G. Here it's 5G. I can watch a video live, and I can do that. In Gaza, unbelievable. 2G in Gaza, all my life 2G. You can't use it, at all. So just imagine that they bombed the already devastated infrastructure, especially the communication infrastructure. So they bombed many places, including the internet companies and the mobile phones networks. So it was even, sometimes I would try to call my father, see where he is, because I got worried sometimes. So I tried to call him, there is no signal, out of coverage, blah, blah, blah. This is maybe not the most serious aspect or, thing to worry about when you're in Gaza. Just imagine, this happened many times. Just imagine you were hit in an airstrike and you still had your phone, you still had your hand, because sometimes you lose everything. So imagine you had your phone with you when you were wounded, and there's no phone signal to call, hello ambulance, I'm wounded, I'm in my farm in Beit Lahia, come rescue. It never happened for so many months. So that's why the genocide, it's more than the bombing itself, it's more than the prevention of food and medicine and fuel and formula and diapers, blah, blah, blah. It's even these things that no one talks about. So yeah, I keep in touch with these. Nowadays it's better. People have to rely on eSIMs because Israel does have 5G. So some people get some eSIM cards, and these eSIMs would catch, the signal from the Israeli companies there. That's how most people like Anas Sharif, like Sam, this is how they upload the videos. Or most of the time, not sometimes there is Wi-Fi, but most of the time, Mu'taz, when he was in Gaza, you could see him, on a ladder trying to catch, the signal, because he was using SIM. We were using the SIM cards that Israelis, the same network that Israelis were using on their phones. We were lucky because we were close to Israel, otherwise.
Your journey.
I know it's funny.
Your journey
so tragic, what is funny.
Your journey out of Gaza was pretty harrowing. Can you just walk us through the process of?
I told you before.
You already mentioned it earlier?
I told you when we were.
Yeah, I know, but the people didn't hear it. So, so I'll pretend I'm hearing it for the first time. So, if
give
you
me
could tell us,
give me your other ear, because it didn't hear what I said.
So yeah, it's a pretty harrowing story of how you were picked out from a line of people walking and then detained and put blindfolded, and then your family. So tell us the whole story.
Well, I mean, sometimes your reputation, your renown could help you, and sometimes it could kill you. So it killed Rifat because he was a known poet, a known critic of the genocide. So he was targeted and killed with his two of his siblings and some 5 nephews in one airstrike in December, just 4 days after I left Gaza, maybe 3 days. So I think I am again lucky because I had a name outside. People knew who I was because I wrote some essays in the New Yorker. Because when I was abducted, the headline in the New Yorker, or maybe it's New York Times, the IDF detains a New Yorker contributor. That was the most important thing, because I was a New Yorker contributor, or a renowned poet. So, but if I was not a New Yorker contributor, or if I was not a famous poet, it means that it's fine, we don't know him. What if I was not known? What if Dr. Hussam Abu Safiya was not known? So I was picked out of the line of the people who were trying to cross from North to South Gaza. And by the way, this is something that I was told to do by the American Embassy in Jerusalem. So the American Embassy, the State Department, has a role in my journey, because they told us to go to the Rafah border crossing in November 2023. So, and for your name to appear on the list to leave Gaza, your name should be approved by the American side, the Israeli side, because you can't live without your name being approved. So I was approved by the American side, by the Israeli side, by the Egyptian side too. So even if the Egyptians say no, you can't leave. So my name was approved. So it was the the most impossible thing to happen is that I could be taken or questioned even. Because my name appeared, so it means that I'm clear to leave. But I was shocked really when the Israeli soldier just 150 meters away. How many feet is 150 meters? I don't know, maybe some feet away. Okay, so I was called by an Israeli soldier in Arabic. He called me out by description, even without naming me, because it seems like the AI, this is something in the New York Times when they wrote a piece about using AI, the face detection, right? This is, you call it, face detection? Facial recognition, sorry, face detection. Facial recognition technology, that's what the Israeli army was using. And when they asked, when the New York Times asked the Israeli army about this, they cited me. The Israelis cited this, said, yes, we needed someone named Mosab Abu Toha, so they used their technology on me. They had my name on a list that they wanted to pick me out from the people and detain me. And when he was crossing the AI or the facial recognition technology, said, oh, this guy, get him out of the line. So that's what happened. I was picked out of the line, and I wrote about that in the New Yorker. I don't want to go into details, but I was picked out, and then I heard my name, my full name, Mustafa Hassan Abu Toha, called by another soldier, and I was shocked. You know why? Because I was not showing my ID card for the soldiers to know who I was. So they had my face, they had my name before. So I was tricked into believing that I was clear to leave Gaza. I was tricked. And now there is more reason for me to believe that the airstrike that Israel carried out on our house in Beit Lahi on October 28th, which is 3 weeks before I was abducted, it meant that they were trying to kill me. Because if they had my name on the list to be taken out of the line when I was crossing, it means that when they bombed my house, they already had my name and they wanted to kill me, along with my wife and our 3 kids, my parents, my 6 siblings and their spouses, and so about more than 30 people were there in the house. And if I died, it meant that I caused the death in some ways to my whole family. So I was questioned. They said, "You are a Hamas activist." I said, I was blindfolded, then and handcuffed. And when they saw that I was an UNRWA teacher, they took out my wallet, which had my Syracuse University student ID card. There was my credit and debit cards. There was UNRWA employee card. I was a teacher. And on the back of that card, it says, this is an employee of the United Nations. Please facilitate his movement. Facilitate his movement to the prison. So when they saw my UNRWA card, one of the soldiers, as the other was blindfolding me, he said, UNRWA. I said in Arabic, yes, أنا معلم. Yes, I'm a teacher. He said, اسكت يا شر, shut up, son of a something. And then they continued to tie my hands behind my back. And then I was interrogated in English. I started to speak in English with this interrogator. My hands were behind my back and I was blindfolded. And I heard some other people screaming. That was just close to the checkpoint still. So I thought it was a quick interrogation. Maybe, okay, you know this person? No, okay, bye. Go to your children, your American child. So I skipped this part. Before I was taken, I was holding our passports, and in front of the Palestinian passport, there was my son's American passport. America.
Your son was born in
Yes,
Boston,
my son was born here. Mustafa, I showed you, he has red hair. So this is another proof that he is an American. He was born under the Trump administration, 2020. Trump was close to the president. More proof. Orange hair. Anyway, so I was really, literally, this is how I was. Okay, this is my passport. There are maybe at least 2,000 people in the crowd waiting, for the line to open. So the Israeli soldiers, So this is North Gaza, this is South Gaza. I'm going to Rafah there. And I was carrying Mustafa in one hand, and then the other, I was raising the passports, the American passport. It said the United States of America. I was carrying it because the Israeli soldiers were just 100, 150 meters away from us, and they were taking the position, as if they were shooting at people, and there were some cameras, technology, maybe telescopes. So I was carrying this, and I saw, oh, there are soldiers. They have telescope. This is good, even though it's catching people. So I was, America, America, here, America. So I thought some terrorist soldier would see the passport. Oh, the United States of America. We have something here. Hey, Captain, there is a situation. There is an American citizen in the crowd. But this is not what happened. They had no respect for you. Really, they had no respect for America, because they abducted someone who was carrying an American passport. And even when I was abducted, they took the passport. One of them, I mean, they insulted you. No one of them asked me, oh, there is an American passport. Who is this citizen? Maybe we should give you a ride. No, it didn't happen. They never asked me whose passport was that, because they don't care about you. You think they care about America? They are using America. They are using you, and they are using your money. And this is, I mean, I'm not saying this because I don't like Israel or America. I don't have any feelings towards America, okay? My son is American, and I'm staying here. I appreciate my presence here. But I mean, it's not a question of love or hate, okay? But everyone needs to know what's happening. They do not respect you. Israelis do not respect Americans. Otherwise, the first moment they saw the American passport, they would say, hey, Captain, there is a situation. There is an American citizen in the crowd. Let's see what we can do. And then the next step, I assume they'd say, oh, your names are here, they're here, okay, goodbye, thank you. I don't know. But that never happened. When they started blindfolding me and handcuffing me, and then I started speaking English with the interrogator, and he said, you speak English well. I said, yeah, I'm a poet.
And I don't know why you're so surprised. They're abducting Americans in America. It's not like it's.
This is before ICE,
I got you. Okay.
I was the first one to be abducted by ICE in Israel. No. So that guy asked. He said, "You are a Hamas activist." I said, "No, that's not true." He said, "No, we took someone days ago, and he said you are a Hamas activist." So this even confirms to me that the airstrike on my house was already planned. He wanted to kill me. So I said, he said someone told us. I told him he's lying, because I mean, you're a Hamas activist. No, I'm not. I met someone in the street and he told me. So I told him no, he's lying. And then I asked him, do you have any proof? For example, is there any footage, maybe a video, a photograph, satellite imagery that shows me doing something that is the Hamas? He slapped me across the face and he said, you give us proof. And that was the end of the conversation. I was taken very aggressively into another place, and then another, maybe I heard 3-4 voices of soldiers insulting us in Arabic. You raped our women, you killed our children, you did.
So you're, if I could pause you for a second, so you pulled that away from your family.
Unbelievable.
So your wife is there with your children.
Yeah.
You handed your kids back to your wife.
The point is, when they ordered me to drop my son and my backpack, my wife was ahead of me. So I dropped, there's something that I did not say. When he called for me to sit on my knees, and there were about 100 people who were taken before me, waiting for their names to be called, then interrogated, blindfolded, abducted, blah, blah, blah. So I said, maybe there is a misunderstanding. I want to take my son and their passports and go to these fucking soldiers. I want to show them, hey. And then I stepped out of the line with my son, and he said, hey, stop, don't move. Don't, just drop the son and your son and drop the bag and come there, okay? I had to drop my son. I didn't look back to see where he went, whether my wife.
How old is your son at that time?
3.5 years old.
He's 3.5 years old.
He's the American citizen.
He's the
American citizen.
And he told you to drop him just leave him alone.
Yeah, just drop him. It's a piece of something. Drop him, okay? Just come, sit on your knees. That's it. I even from fear, I really didn't look back, see where the boy went, whether people ran him over. I didn't look. So during the interrogation, now I remember something. During the interrogation, when he said Hamas activist, he said, we stopped your wife and kids on another checkpoint. What do you call this? When someone abducts you and then he also tells you that we have also stopped your wife and kids, and it was not true. But what do you call this? This is terrorism. He's terrorizing me into believing that my wife and kids were also hurt or stopped and harassed. So when we were put into another place, some Israeli soldiers came and they started shooting us with their boots. We were literally, our hands were tied behind our backs. We were helpless. We were blindfolded. We couldn't see who's talking us, who is insulting us, what they were doing, whether they're gonna shoot us or not. You raped our women, you killed our children. Hamash, 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 Hamash. This is the only thing, Hamash, Hamash. Okay, do you know me? You are kicking me. Do you know me? Have you ever seen me in your life? Do you know what I am, who I am, where I'm coming from? Do you know that I was wounded in an airstrike in 2009 when I was 16 years old? So that was maybe the first 2-3 hours of the day after I was abducted. And then I heard something like a big truck that the Israeli soldiers used to move soldiers around. Something like I don't know what it's called. Yeah. They use it to transport soldiers from one place to another. So I heard something like that. And then we were carried, blindfolded and handcuffed, and we were thrown into that trucks like bags of trash. We were thrown onto each other like dead people. And then the trucks started to move, and then it stopped somewhere. And that was the scariest moment in my life. Why? Because the truck stopped just after 2-3 minutes of moving, it stopped, and then there was a moment of silence, and then there were some gunshots close to us. And that's when I thought that they were going to execute us. Literally, I thought they were going to because we were blindfolded and handcuffed, and there was no hope of us going back to our families. And there were some short, and it seemed like someone was killing someone and then killing someone again. And so I thought it was my end. And that is the moment that I can't believe I'm remembering this. That was the moment when I wished that my heart could stop. I wanted to die. I didn't want to be executed, especially when I was handcuffed and blindfolded, and when I didn't know where my wife and kids were, whether they were still safe or so yeah. Then we were taken into a bus, and then it moved for about 2 hours, and then we were dropped. Then they had to change our clothes, and you could see that all Palestinian abductees, and even the activists who were abducted from the Madeleine boat, they were also dressed in that same clothes. So they changed our clothes, and then they tied our hands to the front, and then we stayed there. And I think, based on what I could see for a little bit below the blindfold, I could see that it was Sdeti Man, the most notorious detention center, where so many people were harassed, sexually abused, and raped, gang raped. And some people that were taken with me, they stayed there for months. So that was the first day. That was November 19th. November 20th. I was interrogated. I was taken to. We were taken to the doctors. And the doctors, when I sat on a chair, one soldier removed the blindfold, and there was a computer on the table, and there was a doctor soldier, and then I looked here, and then there was a soldier pointing his gun in my face. That was the first thing I saw after the blindfold was removed. Doctor asked me, what's your name, date of birth, ID card number, your telephone number, address in Gaza. I thought he was sending me medicine to my home in Gaza. Do you have any heart disease? I told him no, but I have surgery on my right ear. And
This was online?
No. He was there.
He was in person.
In
I see.
person. Yeah. I told him I have pain in my ear after I was kicked. I was kicked before I was taken. The first day I was kicked in my face. I was kicked in my stomach, and I wrote about that. Please go read it. But I told the doctor I have pain in my ear and I have pain in my nose because I was kicked in my face here, exactly here. They didn't offer me any medicine. They didn't say, oh, let's take maybe CT scan of your face. Maybe there's something. At all, they never offered us anything. So that was the second. Then at night, I was taken for an official interrogation. So I was taken to another building, and they cut the plastic. What is it? I forgot what it's called. The zip tie. Zip tie. Yeah. So they cut the zip tie only to replace it with shackles, metal ones. They shackled my feet and my hands, and they tied me to the seat, which was shackled to the ground. It was part of the ground itself. Yeah, and then it was in Arabic. He had a Lebanese accent. He started to speak to me about Gaza, and then he said, "Oh, you look brilliant. It seems you are well educated." He said, "Musab, we were, beaten hard by Hamas on October 7th. And, he was just being nice with me. Any coffee? Yes, yeah, anything. They brought me coffee and I drank. Then he asked me for all my relatives' names and their dates of birth, their spouse, their children's names, blah blah blah. I mean, information like that. And then he asked me, Musab, tomorrow we are going to Beit Lahi, where I live. So Musab, do you know? So maybe that's another reason. So Musab, we are going to Beit Lahi tomorrow. He said, our sons are going to Beit Lahi tomorrow. أولادنا رايحين على بيت لاهي بكرة. Do you know any Hamas there who we should be aware of? Maybe any what else? Maybe there are some tunnels, some بسموهم شو بالعربي كمان not كمان يعني زي يعني high يعني some places where no they where they are ambushes. Yeah, where they could be ambushing the tanks. Blah. I told them, look, I taught English in Gaza. This is the only place I've been to. I play soccer twice a week on Monday and Wednesday. One time in Jabalia camp, one time in Beit Lahi with the friends. I go to pick strawberries with my friends. These are the only things I know in my life. And I also lock myself inside my room to write and read. These are the only places I know. I don't go out and look Hamas where they are doing. I don't go out to look what they are doing. Okay, this is the only. I said, okay. I told him next, what's happening next? He said, we will see. If the information you're sharing is true, then we will let you go. If not, we will imprison you. And I asked him, how long will that take? He said, maybe. I mean, I can't promise you. Maybe weeks, maybe months. Okay. And then I was moved back to State Iman. And by the way, when we were in State Iman, all the time on our knees, we were not allowed to sit on our butts. All the time, to the extent I had stiff in my thigh. All the time. If you don't sit on your knees, they're gonna attack you. When I went to the small bathroom, they had something like a toilet room. It's a plastic one. Even when I used the toilet, I was handcuffed and blindfolded. And there was no toilet paper, no water to clean after yourself. Okay. So that was November 20. Now, after they finished the interrogation, just before I went back to State Man, just at the gate, I heard, it's very strange because they were speaking in English, not in Hebrew, not in Arabic. I heard someone saying, is this the journalist? Is this the writer? Wallah, in English, not in Arabic. I don't know, maybe they are American. Do Americans serve in the Israeli army? Yeah. Because they were speaking in English, it's very strange for me, okay? So is this the journalist? Is this the writer? They did not say the poet. Maybe they do not, see my poetry as poetry. But I'm a writer, journalist, whatever. So I just heard them talking, and then I was put back in State Man. And then the next morning, this is the next morning, which is November 21st, maybe at 5, they would wake up us at 5, very early in the morning. We cannot sleep. You should sit on your knees again. Just like an animal you are torturing in a cage. Sit on your knees, yalla. And then they started, this is another aspect of the genocide. They started to teach us how to say good morning in Hebrew. Yes, Boker Tov, Captain. Boker Tov, Sabah al-Khair, Captain. So they had us repeat that to say good morning to the terrorists. Boker Tov, Captain, Boker Tov, Captain. And then they started to run through our names, and we had numbers around our wrist, something like a band, which had your number, detainee number, abductee number, I don't know. So they had someone check that the names matched the numbers that were around our wrists. And then we heard it turned out that there was another detention center. Maybe the one I was in was State Man A, there was State Man B, because they were adjacent. So I heard a new detainees were arriving at the detention center next to us, and they were teaching them, not teaching, they were forcing them to repeat a song for the children in Arabic. And it says, Ya ghanamati ma ma, which means, oh my sheep, ma ma, ba ba. So the Israeli terrorists would say, Ya ghanamati, and the detainees, the abductees would say ma ma, as if they were sheep. Ya ghanamati, ah, ah. Yeah, they were forcing them to sing like animals. These are things that I heard, that I lived through. It's not stories that my father, my no. All the stories that I'm telling you are stories that I lived through. Just imagine if you were meeting someone who was abducted for 30 days.
And how many days were you in?
3 days. So,
but you had no idea whether it's going to be 3 years,
know what was
3
happening
days,
outside.
get killed.
I didn't know what was happening outside. Because my wife, when she had my phone, because she had my phone before I was abducted, she, messaged my friends that Mosab was taken. Especially.
Was there any time when you were together with a group of people where you had a chance?
No, we were all in one big
room.
Something like an open space. Okay.
Were you able to communicate with each other?
Around it. We could whisper. Yeah, it was not. No, it was scary because Israeli soldiers would walk in just among us. Just keeping us company.
So you're on your knees pretty much most of the
blindfolded, handcuffed.
Most of the day.
All of the day.
The whole day.
Yeah, except when we sleep on our backs. But we sleep blindfolded and handcuffed. But when we are awake, we sit on our knees. I mean, don't you see photos and videos of people who were released, how their knees and legs look like? Unbelievable. So that on November 21st, after I heard the other abductees, singing that Ya ghanamati ma ma, we were on our knees, and then I heard my name, Mosab Abu Toha. And then someone who was also abducted like us, but he was not blindfolded, he was not handcuffed. He served as they call him shawish, someone who's who understands Hebrew. So he is the liaison, something like that. He would So they would ask him, please, hey, bring Mosab Abu Toha. Walk him to the toilet. He would take us to the toilet like babies. Yeah, because we were blindfolded and he would open the door to the toilet and then bring us back to our places because we didn't know we were sitting. Unbelievable. just a 3-day experience that I had. So I heard my name was Abu, and then the shawish came, and then he led me to the gate where the Israeli soldiers were standing on the other side, and I waited for 20 minutes, and then they opened the gate, and then just a little bit below through my blindfold, I could see a soldier standing here. They had a pocket on the side of their uniform, and I saw him taking out a Palestinian ID card. And then I could understand that there's something happening here, because they said, is this the writer, journalist? And then the Israeli soldier, they called my name from among all the people there, and then he took out a Palestinian ID card, and I could recognize that it was mine. And then I waited between the two gates, because there is a gate, on our side, and then there is a gate on the other side. So there is something like a corridor closed between two gates. So I was waiting there, and I saw the Israeli soldier getting out his something like a Palestinian ID card, green one. And then I got on the other side, and then he threw 2 pairs of slippers. And he said, put them on. I put them on, and he said, release, Ifraj, we're going to release you. And then he asked me, is there anything that we took from you? Because this is what happens. They put the belongings of these people, everyone who they abduct, in plastic bags. So when they abducted me, they put my clothes, my shoes that I bought from here, my wallet, our passports, including the American passport. So he asked me, did we take anything? Yeah, I told him, yeah, my watch, my wallet, which had my credit, debit cards, my blah, 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 my shoes, my clothes, and the passport. He said, passports? Yeah, I told him passports, yeah. Okay, it seemed like he started to think, oh, well, where could we find these things? So they spent about 2 hours looking for these things, but they couldn't find any. The only thing that they gave me was the Palestinian ID card, and then I was put in a military vehicle, an Israeli maybe captain or something with 2 or 3 stars of a higher rank, and then I was sitting in the middle between 2 soldiers. I was sitting between soldiers. We should have coffee at that time. So they drove me from Sdetiman, from Negev, back to the checkpoint where they abducted me. So they dropped me there with only my ID card. Now the next journey would be finding my wife and kids. And the harder thing was whether my wife and kids were still alive, because 3 days I didn't know what was happening. And I didn't know whether my father and mother and siblings and all were killed in airstrikes on the schools where they were sheltering. So one of the questions I asked the soldiers and the captain in the front for 2 things. I told him, I want you to help me find my wife and kids, because you took me away from them. Where are they? He couldn't respond. And then I told him, you took my wallet, you took my debit card, my credit card, my cash that was in the wallet. I need money. I want to maybe find a car, maybe buy some food. Give me money, or give me back my money. He didn't give me anything. And then, the journey was to find my wife. I had to move from Nusayrat to Deir al-Balah. And I started...
At what time of day was it when they dropped
I think
you?
3 p.m. No, wait. I think it was 1. But when I found my wife and kids, it was about 4. Yeah, 3 hours.
So you found them within 3 hours from the time.
But no, but I thought, I mean, my wife and kids did not decide where to stay before we headed to Rafah. So we were thinking of staying with her uncles, because they were sheltering in a school since the beginning of the genocide. So I thought, Deir al-Balah, most of the people from Beit Lahia moved to Deir al-Balah. Okay, so I thought, yeah, I will go to Deir al-Balah. That's where I went. I didn't have my phone. Even if I had my phone, there was no phone signal. So I started asking people, do you know where the people of Beit Lahia are staying, which schools? Someone said, oh, I know some people from Beit Lahia, but there are so many schools, And then God sent someone to me, who was a neighbor. I asked him, Mahdi, we had each other, and I told him, you know where my wife and kids are? And he said, yeah, they're with her uncle in a school near Al-Aqsa Hospital. And I took off my slippers and started to run. At which school? There were about 5 schools there.
You
My
took your
slippers.
shoes off and started running.
Yes. Yes, I wanted to run. I want to see them, of course. So the most touching moment is that when I was running and looking which one, and then I found my daughter Yafa, holding on an orange. And she said, Yafa, and said, Daddy. She said, Daddy, even though she lived in America for a year, but Daddy. So I hugged her, and you know what she said to me? I told Andy and Miko and others, and Steve. She told me, Mommy has been looking for you. Oh, has been looking for me. So I felt like I was a child who went missing. So this tells you that my daughter was told, that, oh, your father, went to buy something or something. She wasn't told that I could have been killed. Mommy was looking for you. Yeah, this is what she told me. And then I found my wife, and then we had to stay for about 10 days before we left through the Rafah border crossing. We made it to Egypt on December 2nd. No, we left Gaza on December 2nd, but we arrived in Cairo the next day because it was a long wait and lots of checkpoints. And then on December 6th, Rifat was assassinated in Gaza, 3 days after I left Gaza. And he was one of the people who told me, Musab, you should leave if your name is on the list. Yeah, go and save your wife and kids. I was not planning to leave, I was reluctant, but he told me, no one will blame you if you left Gaza, you are saving your wife and kids at least. And I remember him calling me. I don't know how he called me, whether it was WhatsApp, whether it was international call, I don't know what happened. But he called me when I made it to Egypt. So it must have been 2 days before he was killed. He told me, is it true what the Israelis did to you, abducted you? I told him, yeah, this is what they told. By the way, I skipped this part. When I was abducted, before they started handcuffing and blindfolding me, they forced me under gunpoint to remove all my clothes, even my underwear. And there were 3 Israeli soldiers, 2 of them pointing their gun at me, and the other next to me, and the third one, Israeli soldier, terrorist soldier, was holding a megaphone, giving both of us orders. And then after that, he asked us to turn around. So yeah, I told Rifat about, and he said, oh, these criminals, barbaric people. So that was the last time I heard his voice. And then he was killed. If I must die, he must live to tell my story. If I must die, let it be a tale, let it bring hope. And I hope that you will do your best as an American people whose government is involved in the genocide in Gaza, not only in the genocide, even in the occupation of Palestine, because the United States was the first country to recognize Israel after committing one of the worst crimes in history, which is the Nakba, the expulsion of 800,000 Palestinians from their homes, including my grandparents, the destruction and erasure of 500 villages, and the establishment of a state while the people who existed before are not recognized, are not even a member of the United Nations. How disgraceful this world is.
Wow. I'm going to ask you to read a poem now.
Now,
Yeah, I think it's a good moment. Let's ask you to read a poem. I wanted you to read Howl, yeah, the Allen Ginsberg poem. So if you could read that, please.
this is my own version of Howl, but it's not that long. Okay, I will try. I can read Howl and then.
Those of you that may not be familiar, Allen Ginsberg, the beat poet, wrote one of lots of poetry, but one of his most epic poems is Howl. And it talks about the moment of history that he was living under. And this sort of is a riff off of that poem.
Yeah. So I wrote this in Cairo, and it's very clear in the poem. Howl. I'm howling in Cairo. I jump off my chair. I hug the closest thing to me, the gray corner of my room. My head glued to it like a stamp, so eager to travel. Books on the shelf, they listen to the whispers of my nose as it smells the old paint, as it searches for the fingers of the mason beneath the paint. My nose hears the mason's radio playing Kulthum and news about the uprising nearby. My nose smells the burning tires and stones thrown by young hands. I open my eyes to the image of my mother on my phone, handing me oranges she picked from a tree that's now under the rubble, but still howling in the wind. And that's the photo that I showed you.
Beautiful. What,
So this audience had the chance of reading the poem and also seeing the photo that I'm talking about in the poem. So my poetry is not totally fiction. So mostly it's about feeling, but it's 100% based on real memories. So the photo of my mother, it's not, I mean, sometimes you write a poem, you imagine a place, you remember it, you romanticize it, but this is really based on things that have been happening in my life. You know, the story of parents who left their houses to buy some bread for their kids, but news of their death made it home, not the bread. So these are stories. It's not I'm just like I'm documenting or trying to imagine the horrors that happened to others. These are horrors that happened to me personally. And I wrote about them and I published a book about them. And they keep happening. The poems keep happening.
Yeah.
So, no art. Okay, so this poem was written before the start of the genocide. And it's very clear because in the poem I said, I personally lost 3 friends to war. So in this poem, I was talking about my 3 friends that I lost in 2014. Omar, Ismail Khilla, Izzat al-Sayyid, and Ammar Hamdona. One of these, Izzat al-Sayyid was my closest friend. These were close friends, but Izzat was the closest one. And the heartbreaking news is that his father was just killed 2 months ago in his house. And I remember his father, after 2014, after Izzat was killed and after he was buried and after the war ended, I remembered going to Izzat's house and I opened his closet to look at his clothes. And I found the Barcelona jersey, which had Messi's name and number on it. That's the same jersey that I and Izzat bought from a shop. I bought the, number 14, Terry Henry. So I bought number 14, Terry Henry, and Izzat bought number 10, Messi. So I found the jersey, the t-shirt in the closet, and I asked his father, who was killed 2 months ago, I asked his father if I could take it and keep it. And he generously and graciously did give it to me. And the t-shirt is under the rubble of my house right now. No art. The art of losing isn't hard to master. Elizabeth Bishop. You know everything will come to an end. The sugar, the tea, the dried sage, the water. Just go to the market and restock. Even your shadow will abandon you when there is no light. So just keep things that require only you. The book of poems that only you can decipher. The blank map of a country whose cities and villages only you can recognize. I've personally lost 3 friends to war, a city to darkness, and a language to fear. This was not easy to survive, but survival proved necessary to master. But of all things, losing the only photo of my grandfather under the rubble of our house was a real disaster. Thank you.
How do you, we're going to be opening up for a couple questions, but I want to ask you, how do you tell this story to your children now? Are they aware of what's happening? They were obviously there when the attacks started.
My children are not aware of the story. They are the story. They are the story. There are many poems about them here. In one of the poems, I think I memorized this poem, let me try. There's a poem that I wrote after the May attacks, in 2021. And it was May. I told you my son was born in May 2022. So Israel attacked Gaza in May 2021. So that was a few days after my son turned 1. So I wrote a poem about what a Gazan should do during an Israeli airstrike. Maybe some of you are familiar with it. And in it, I end the poem by saying what a Gazan should do during an Israeli airstrike: turn off the lights in every room, sit in the inner hallway of the house away from the windows, stay away from the stove, stop thinking about making a black tea, have a bottle of water big enough to cool down children's fear, get a child's kindergarten backpack and stuff tiny toys, whatever amount of money there is, and the ID cards and photos of late grandparents, uncles and aunts, and the grandparents' wedding invitation that's been kept for a long time. And if you're a farmer, you should put some strawberry seeds in one pocket and some soil from the balcony flower pot in the other, and hold on tight to whatever number there was on the cake from the last birthday. So that was about Mustafa's birthday, which was number 1. And then there was also another poem, My Son Throws a Blanket over my daughter, and that was also about May 2021. So my children, and also in my first poetry collection, Things You May Find in My Ear, in Palestine, AZ, in the letter Y, I say my daughter's name is Yafa. Whenever I put my ear close to her mouth, I hear Yafa's sea, waves lapping against the shore. So my children are the story. And this story needs to survive, needs to amplify by people like you.
Let's open it up for some questions. Do you have the microphone? There's one here too if you need it. Who would like to ask a question? Let's see a show of hands.
Okay, there we go. Sorry about that, everyone. Okay, so right here.
I'm just curious to know, with America's history with genocide of Native Americans.
Can you put the microphone a little closer?
I'm just curious to understand, with genocides of Native Americans, the history with slavery, people from Africa, all of the immigrants that have come over here, current issue now with the immigrants, why it is, and let's just say America is partnering with Israel, what it is that you really think that Americans can do to help the situation. We have many, many issues right now going on that are threatening our own Constitution that clearly we are not able to handle. So I just am curious to understand what it is that you are thinking that we can do. I'm open to it, but I'm just wondering, we have a history of being what you are going through.
Thank you so much for the question. I think what's happening in Gaza is not in Gaza, because we always enter Gaza, but also there's the West Bank. There are cities that Israel occupied in 1948, which Palestinians have the right to return to. This is something that is guaranteed by the international law. Anyone who was expelled from their house, they have the right to return to it, even after 100, 200, 300 years. Okay, so I think this is closely related to what happened in this country. Our struggle for freedom, for liberation, for equality, it cannot be separated from the history of this country and other places in the world. What you can do as American people, you need to draw, the stories from both. I mean, it is past and still present in America, but it is still being carried out live stream in Gaza, what's happening. Also in the West Bank, we get a lot of videos of people, houses being burnt, villages destroyed. So it is not very different what happened in this country to what's happening still in Gaza. What you can do is amplify the stories that we know in Gaza, and also put them together with the stories that you have in this country. Because we have not only a Palestinian story or a Native American story or an African American story. We have a human story that we need to fight for, to write, and to make sure it doesn't happen, not to the Native American, not to African American, not to Palestinian. Because what's happening to the Palestinians, I mean, every one of you could be born in Gaza in my place. Don't think that you are privileged, that you are American or you're British, you're whatever. You could be born there. Your parents could be, Palestinians, and you should have the honor of being a Palestinian, by the way. So you could be born there. And the same thing that you expect people who are outside of Palestine, if you were in Palestine, if you were in Gaza. So the same thing, every day you ask yourself, what if I was the person in Gaza? What if I was the mother or father who is now sitting in a tent expecting a bomb to burn the tent, just like what happened to so many families? And even if you're not killed, you don't have food, water, medicine for your children. I have friends who don't have diapers. They're using plastic bags instead of diapers for their children. So put yourself in their places as an American, as a human being. Put yourself in their places. And now, imagine, what do you expect other people outside to do? So every day you ask yourself, what if I was the Gazan? What if I was the West Banker? And what would I expect and demand other people who are in America, who is funding the genocide and covering up for it? What would you expect people to do? And do the same thing that you would expect people to do. This is one simple way.
I think something more concrete to do. I think it was Black people that preserved democracy in this country. It was Black people that fought for civil rights and the Voting Rights Act, the Civil Rights Act, and other things. I think this is a time where white people and Jewish people must speak up. And if you're white and you're Jewish in this country right now today, you are privileged. And you have to use that privilege. And if you don't use that privilege and you don't speak loud, you're no friend of mine. So I just want to be very clear.
Okay, so
I think the lady in the middle there wanted to say something first, and then there.
I want to comment on what you said.
I'm sorry.
I want to comment on what you said. So I don't like to say that people have the privilege. I think people happen to have this privilege, right? If you want to really earn that privilege, you have to fight for it and prove that you have this privilege of being a good person or not, or a powerful person. You use your power. It's not that you are a privileged person. You happen to be, because you did not choose to be a Jewish or a Palestinian or an American or a Chinese. None of us chose to be who we are. But we choose what we can do. Yes. This is it.
Hi, thank you. My name is Jeannie. My father walked in the Nakba, and I was in Gaza in 2022. And I hear this statement a lot, Gaza is an open-air prison. But when I came out of Gaza, my feeling was, sure, maybe everybody says that, but I cringe when I hear that, because people in Gaza made a life. They made a great life. And so when I hear that statement, I'm like, but that doesn't tell the world who you were in spite of all of it, which was something amazing. And I don't know that I have a question, but I wanted to make the statement of, even in the photos that you showed of the gardens and the crops, and it's a very small space, what the amazingness of the people, and that if you really go, it's not what is depicted when people say it was an open air prison. It's something far greater than that because of you, because of what you did there. That's what I want to say.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. People saying, "Oh, when we post photos like these, we share photos. Oh, yeah. So this is the open air prison we're talking about." When we show restaurants, for example, oh, you said it's the same thing that is happening right now when people are eating. Oh, you said it's a genocide. How are you eating? This is the most evil thing that you can ever come across these days. So it's a genocide. So you mean I should just lie down and die? That's it. So if it's an open air prison, you want me to take off my clothes? Really? You want me to jump into the sea and kill myself so that, oh yes, now it's a genocide, now it's a open. Thank you for proving that it is an open. No, it is a genocide, it is an open air prison, but we are going to make the best of it.
First, alhamdulillah as-salama. In your submissions, in your writing, in your poetry, in your essays, have you faced any issues with editors that request you to fix, edit anything that you've submitted? Have there been any difficulties with that?
Are you a writer? Yeah. Okay. So to be honest, in the New Yorker, all my pieces, no one told me to change a word, except maybe for the genocide. I had to quote it as being named so by Amnesty International. So this is the only thing. In the New York Times, I wrote a piece, and this is really, upsetting, and this is shameful. And the second piece I wrote for the New York Times, it was the anniversary of October 7th, 2024. And this is an opinion piece, right? So I'm entitled to use the words that express my feelings and my opinion. So that editor, Dan, I think Dan Walken, I don't know. I still have the email. So I was trying to say, I was abducted on November 19. He said, no, we should use the word detained. But I told him in the English language, so if someone was taken away from his wife and kids, and he was blindfolded and handcuffed, right? And forced to get naked in front of Israeli soldiers and beaten. Do you call this detainment? Is this how people are detained, really, or arrested? I told him, give me one word in the English language that describes what I'm telling you. This is not detain. Detain is when you take someone to a police office, you interrogate it. So there is some kind of official, procedure. You take someone, interrogate them, okay, bye. You don't blindfold them, handcuff them, take them from their spouses and their children, and then you don't know where your children, as someone who was taken, you don't know where your wife and kids are. You don't know whether they were safe. They don't know where you are, whether you were alive or safe. So I told them, give me one word that describes it. And so we had to use a neutral word for that. So these are the only times I faced, trouble with editors. But for the New Yorker, the pieces that I wrote, the most important pieces that I wrote, documenting my life and the lives of people I care about. I have never been told what to say, what not to say. This word is not, except for the genocide one time, because they had their own standards. It's fine, I quoted them, Amnesty International, and that was it. But the New York Times, that word, it's an opinion piece. I should say whatever I think happened to me. It is abduction. I was taken from my wife and kids when I was told that I could leave Gaza. So what do you call this? Poetry, I don't think, no, I've never faced anything with poetry. Fiction, I still didn't publish any fiction, but I don't think anyone should tell me what to say or not. It's fiction. It could happen in fiction, right? But yeah,
there was an interview you did with NPR where they have it on the website, and there's a disclaimer about the use of the word genocide as well in there. You use the word genocide, but then they have this big, long disclaimer about why they feel that the Israeli military does not claim to say that.
Why is Israel's opinion matter?
Yeah,
I mean, if someone is committing a genocide or doing, did the Nazi say that they were killing Jewish people? No. Did they say that they were committing Holocaust? No, of course no. Of course, I expect this. They will not say that we are killing Jews, we are burning them. Of course, they are evil people. So of course they are not going to say it. And the same for Israel. They are not going to say, oh yeah, we are committing genocide. Of course they are not good. Everything they do, even when they are caught lying, 4 times at least in the past few months. One time with the medics, when they killed 15 medics in Rafah and they buried them in their vehicles. And they said, oh, the suspicious vehicles, the soldiers felt threatened. And their lights were not on. And okay, the world, you are always ready to believe, not you, but the world believes them. Yeah, they want to hurt these people. They are terrorists, anti-Semites, blah, blah, blah. And then When the bodies of these medics were retrieved from under the dirt, they found the phone of one of the medics who was killed. And there was the video. And the video shows the vehicles. They were marked, ambulances and fire trucks. And the sirens were on. And then they said, oh, it was professional failures. What is this supposed to mean? What is professional failures? So you just call it professional failure. You just use euphemism here. It's professional failure. And then when they bombed that church and killed 3 Christians, Catholic people, and the church they bombed was the only Catholic church in Gaza. And then it was a stray ammunition. Okay, so you committed a crime, you did a mistake. What are the consequences for this? Nothing. And then one time they bombed the Maghazi refugee camp, one of the 8 refugee camps in Gaza. They killed about 100 people, all of them civilians. And do you know what they said? They did some investigation. It's very important. They did. Do you know what they said? They said they used the wrong ammunition. They used, what the hell is this? So that was January, February 2024. So okay, Israel did something wrong. What are the consequences? They did something. Okay, what then? You continue to send them weapons? What about sending Palestinians things to protect themselves against this evil? The people who need to be protected and be able to defend themselves are people who are living under occupation, not people who are occupying others.
All right, we have time maybe for two more questions or comments.
Is there?
And the fourth one was when they bombed people collecting water, 8 of them were children. They said there was a technical error. Just continue wiping out people, genocide them, technical error, professional failure, wrong weaponry. It's like continue killing us, it's fine. No, it's professional mistake. It's fine. But the Palestinians, terrorist, he chose. It's a non-investigation. It's not really, I don't know.
Go ahead, please.
First of all, thank you so much to both of you for this event. Thank you, Andy, for continuously using this space to highlight what's been going on in Gaza for the last 2 years, and even before then too. And then thank you, Mosab, as well for your words, but also your unrelenting commitment to very evocatively continue talking about what is happening every single day, every single hour in Gaza to the Palestinians. The question I have is, so since October 2023 in particular, it was really also like a major mask-off moment for institutions around the world, but especially in this country. And it really exposed the contradictions that exist in a lot of institutions and industries. And in particular, it did expose the contradiction within the literary community in this country. And it's, the literary community has been called out by a handful of writers such as Viet Thanh Nguyen, who's talked about what is at the core of the American literary community and the imperialism that is at its core. So I was wondering if you can speak to that, especially as a writer, as a poet, who is now part of the fabric of the literary community here, what that experience has been for you and what you see here in that contradiction and hypocrisy.
Thanks so much. I'm getting some questions about Gaza and some questions about writing and the literary community. Diverse question. Thank you so much for that. I can't call a literary community if it's not addressing the ongoing crisis, not only in Gaza but also in this country. What does community mean? Community means that you care about other people. Even what's happened in Gaza, even if you don't have relatives in Gaza, I'm talking about the literary community here, even if you don't have relatives in Gaza, as a writer, your tax money is going to kill other people in Gaza. What did you do? Did you write a letter? Did you write a poem? How did you feel when you watch whole families erased using your tax dollars? So it is really shameful that so many writers and poets have not used their voices, especially people with a lot of power in the power, presence in the country, people who have lots of followers and readers, whose voices would mean a lot during this time. So keeping silent, during a genocide is shameful, and these literary people should be put in the trash if they are not using their pens, their paper, their words to reflect on what is unfolding in front of their eyes. Live streamed. It's not like we are told about a massacre that happened maybe a year ago or maybe 10 days ago. You are just watching something that is happening right now or 5 minutes ago, depending on the internet connection. So if these literary people are not using their words, the language that God gave them, to advocate, or at least not advocate, but at least describe to us how you feel when you see a beheaded fetus. Because at first we heard about beheaded babies and it was a hoax. We're watching in Gaza not only beheaded babies and burnt babies, no, beheaded fetus. I posted a video of that and I shared it with some people, but no one wrote about it. So what are you doing with your words? What are you doing with your language? What is the worth of your literary career, your literary experience, if you are not saying a word about what's happening in Gaza? Not only because it's happening in Gaza or in Palestine, not because Gaza, Palestine is different from other places, but because of this country's role in what's happening in Gaza. Not only providing weapons, not only punishing and persecuting other figures like Francisca Albanese and the ICC, and but by vetoing UN draft resolutions that sought to achieve a ceasefire and a hostage deal. So this country not only is enabling Israel to commit the genocide, but they are prolonging the genocide, which Netanyahu wants it to continue to happen so that he can remain and he can avoid his trial and the end of his career. So this country is not only causing the death and suffering of the Palestinian people, but it also caused the suffering of so many of you who are watching, especially that they know that their tax dollars are contributing and enabling Israel to continue its genocide. So every kind of person should be concerned about this, but especially people who have a voice, to communicate things that people feel but couldn't express. They should be the voice of the people. If they are not using it, then shame on them.
Hi, thank you so much for reading and for doing what you're doing. Two things are on my mind, and I don't know, why is it nobody's talking about it? One major topic should be, what the hell is wrong with all of us? With the world? We are sitting watching this. What the hell is wrong with us? And the other one is, I don't know the exact percentage of the male population of Israel that is involved in doing what they're doing, but do they expect them overnight turn into normal beings afterwards and be good fathers and brothers and husbands and normal people? Is nobody saying what the heck is going to happen to this country that is perpetrating all of this crime, and the world is letting them do it? Maybe they've just lost all senses. Somebody should stop that. And we are supposedly living in the, free world. And, I think we should ask ourselves that. I'm sorry, I just have to say.
Thank you so much. I think there is, for the people in this room at least, there's nothing wrong with us, because I'm sure that I'm 100% sure that every one of you is doing something, at least by coming to this event, by listening to the stories that do not get to be heard. And the second step that every one of you should and must do is to share the stories that you heard, the photos that you saw, the videos that you saw, the names that you heard: Azzat Sayyid, Ammar Hamdona, Rifat Al-Arair, Ismail Khilla, and there's so many relatives that I lost. You should share these names. So there is nothing wrong with you. You are doing what you can. you amplify the voices in the hope of changing people's minds and hearts towards ending this, not only genocide, but the brutal occupation of the Palestinian people and their land. And I don't think that people who are committing this, I mean, how many members of Hamas attacked Israel on October 7th? Probably around 3,000 or something. But how many Israeli soldiers invaded Gaza and committed war crimes? How many? Hundreds, maybe hundreds of thousands, served in the IDF and the Israeli occupation forces to kill people. And how many days have they been committing this? Over 650 days. Over 650 days. And the world is watching them doing this, and that's maybe something unique about this genocide is that not only Palestinian journalists, not only journalists, but people, regular people. It's not only that people in Gaza are documenting the genocide, it's also the Israeli terrorist soldiers who are documenting the genocide. They are, posting videos of them blowing up houses, of, shooting at civilians as they try to collect it. So they are documenting their crimes. And then they say, oh, the videos from Gaza propaganda. Yesterday I was watching a video from Sky News, an interview with the spokesperson of the Israeli government. I forgot his name, but so the Sky News program host said, why are you not letting international journalists go to Gaza? And then the clever Israeli spokesperson said, Mark, there is no shortage of footage from Gaza. And then Mark, very smart, he said, but you said it's propaganda. Yeah, this is unbelievable.
I think it's also important to understand some of the things that are really happening also that are positive and moving things forward. I want to bring into the room the Handala, which is a flotilla that's actually trying to break the siege on Gaza with some amazing people on it. There's about 20 people on this ship, and including Huwaida Arraf, including Jacob Berger, including Christian Smalls, who was from the Amazon Union. I mean, these are people that really have put literally their life on the line to break the siege, and it's symbolic more than anything else, but it definitely does speak to that, and they're looking to do more of these types of ways to try to crack that false wall that's been put around Israel. So that's important. I think also to recognize that France today recognized Palestine as a state. I don't know what that means. I mean, it's,
They said they would recognize it in September.
Yeah.
But now already, one thing about France, I posted about this on my social media. So Israel declared its independence. I'm not sure independence from who, but it declared its independence on May 14, 1948. On May 11, 1949, which is about a year after its independence, it became a member of the United Nations. Palestine is still not a member of the United. And you know who vetoed its request to be a member? The United States. I think it was in 2011. Anyway, France recognized Israel on January 24th, 1949. So just 6 months after it declared its independence. And now they're saying, oh, you are granting these terrorists a state. But they recognized you just 6 months after you declared your independence. You, after you expelled 800, I mean, what is a bigger crime than expelling 800,000 Palestinians in 1948? The destruction of 500 villages and turning now millions and millions of people into refugees. What is a bigger crime than this? Tell me. But France did it. They recognized you in January 1949, and now it's 2025. They said we will recognize. They said we recognize. No, we will recognize Palestine. Palestine said in September 2025. And they said, it's very clear you could be supporting these terrorists. I'm not sure who is a bigger terrorist in the world.
Thank you. I wanted to open just one second. If anybody would like to make an announcement about things that are happening, I wanted to see if anyone from Doctors Against Genocide would like to say what they have been up to, what's going on. I know that Congress is going to recess for next month or so, ironically, because they ended quicker than they were supposed to because of the Epstein files. I can't wait till those files open. I want those files open. But anyway, anything you want to say, Dr. Nida? Can we get a microphone, please? Please, a microphone.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Mosab, and thank you, Andy, for this opportunity. I just want to comment on one thing. Do not underestimate the enemy. They know what they're doing. They know what's happening, and they don't care anymore. They are not apologetic about it anymore. The vulnerable people, we the people of the world, we need to get the power back. Otherwise, they will get to every and each one of us. Not just to Gaza, they will come here. They already started coming here. And we should not underestimate the threat. We need to take it seriously. And these are very devious, very lethal, and very criminal ideologies and people, whether it's white supremacy or Jewish supremacy, and they don't care about getting rid of all the people that they think they are extra on this earth. So it is a call upon all of us, all human beings of good conscience, whether we are in the United States or in Europe or in the Middle East or in China, all over the world, to do everything we can to stop this slaughterhouse, this genocide, this mass murder. Because if we allow this to go on and continue and go unaccounted in Gaza, this means we already gave up our duty to have any protection when it is our turn. Gaza is going to liberate all of us. Gaza is sacrificing everything to liberate the world from all what is wrong in this world, all these unjust systems, the attack on the African American people here in this country, the slavery, the genocide against the natives, the attack on the immigrants, the genocide in Sudan and Congo for the benefit of the mega rich and exploit their resources. Everything that is wrong in the world is all exemplified now in Gaza. So Gaza, I call it as the last castle for humanity. I call it, it's the only piece of God left in this world. We either save it or it's going to be the end of all of us, because those systems are lethal. They don't have mercy. And they don't care, and they don't think, whoever you are, even if you are white, if you are not super rich, if you are not having power, your turn is coming. So all people of good conscience, regardless of your color, your faith, your religion, your nationality, please, this is our time. And unfortunately, no one of us has prescription to exactly do what needs to be done, but we need to try to do everything we can, and I know every one of us can do something, small or big, but at least we need to try, mobilize, educate people. And Gaza already gave us 2 years to learn how these systems are working. And it is our time to take over and give the people of Gaza some break. The children are starving. We're talking to our colleagues, the doctors, the nurses in Gaza every day and every week. And they're telling us this time is worse than ever before. If this siege does not stop now, immediately, if the food is not allowed at scale by the UN, but by all the international organizations, not the American death traps, we might start seeing children and people dying in hundreds and thousands and tens of thousands in a mass death scene in front of all of our eyes, on our watch, on the conscious of the American people, because America now is the only country in the world left supporting this genocide. All the other criminals are jumping off this sinking, filthy ship, including Canada and Britain, our regional allies. The only country that continues to support this Zionist genocidal project ship is the United States of America. And we here, we are in the middle of the beast, but at the same time, we have the biggest opportunity to make this change. Thank you.
How many of you here are with Doctors Against Genocide? Please raise your hands. Thank you. Thank you very much. And as you were saying, I think one really sort of move in that direction is Belgium just detained the two soldiers. Now they didn't abduct them; they detained them. Let's be clear. So they were detained, but still, that should put a little bit of fear in those people that are sending TikToks and laughing about the crimes that they're committing. Hopefully they'll be brought to justice. I can't wait for that day. So thank you all for being here. Thank you so much.
One more thing about Doctors Against Genocide. Sorry, my name's Anas. Assalamu alaikum. Every Sunday we have webinars where we connect with Gazan doctors every single Sunday, and we hear their stories about their patients, about their lives. And so if you have time on Sundays at noon, please sign into our webinars, because when they see us and they see 300, 400 people listening to their stories about what they're going through day to day and how they're sacrificing their lives to save other lives, which is what we do as doctors, please try your best to sign into those. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. One more hand for Mosab Abu Toha. Thank you so much for sharing your stories. Thank you.
And we have a few instructions for the signing. We're going to have the author come sit right outside here, and we're going to have everyone start lining up in the gallery. So if you would like a copy of the book, you can start heading this way, and I'll direct you towards the line. Thank you. Excuse me. Okay, we're going to start right here. We're going to line up. Start right here. High line. We're going to start right here. We're going to actually loop in the gallery. So right over here. Oh, yeah, you can go that way. Start right here, lining up. You got it? Okay, and we're going to loop around that way. Okay.